Secrets of the King James Version of the Holy Bible revealed. Let's talk about it. I am very firmly founded upon the King James Version of the Holy Bible. However, it is by no means the only divinely inspired written law. Even in this Bible, the Apocrypha and continuously uncovered and found texts, they mention many other books that are not included in the Bible's writings. I want to read y'all something that I wrote a while back. Anyone who has studied linguistics or talked to or dated someone from another culture will quickly see that anytime there's a translation between two different languages, there is a loss in substance. For instance, idioms from one culture do not translate properly to another. The same thing happens when you continue to translate something like the Bible to another Bible to another Bible over and over again. There is a tremendous loss in substance. So now today we have like over 150 versions of the Bible out there. From the beginning, the Bible and its commandments has been a tree of knowledge of good and evil, and oh, how many people have eaten from it. Holy texts can also be a tree of life that is placed in the garden, laid as a foundation for us to grow from and edify the conscious body of unity. But the first thing to note is that this book, like many other holy texts, has a natural, a spiritual, and a commercial level of understanding to it. The Old Testament talks about natural things that have a spiritual meaning and interpretation, and the New Testament talks about spiritual things that have a natural meaning and interpretation. This is called a transliteration mirror, as these graphs depict here. This book, from front to back, is also the foundational basis for understanding the appropriate guidelines to exchanging commercial affairs in harmony between nature and spirit in a multitude of different ways. Keep in mind that there is no one law book that has ever been created that has every situation that you will encounter throughout your entire life outlined within it, and that is why those who are bound by the law will be judged accordingly by it. This book did not tell me what pair of shorts to wear this morning. Trust me, I checked. I've read the book. And it didn't say when to call mom or what present to get John on his birthday or any of that stuff. That is why it is important to use righteous judgment for every single situation during our day-to-day affairs. When deciphering the Bible, I prefer to use a 1611 King James Version, a concordance, and a Hebrew or Greek parallel that has original text for solid reference. BibleHub.com is a good source for this. The Creator's written word, in fact, is the amalgamation of the natural and the spiritual realms together in one, single form, just like us. Great wisdom within the Creator's written word can only be built from this very knowledge. There are deeper spiritual connotations that go beyond the naturally obvious and very common interpretations of these scriptures. The true spiritual meanings and the true spiritual definitions of the scriptures have always been right there, hidden within the Bible's writings for mankind to have. Unfortunately, they have all been hidden by an allegorical cover of biblical doctrine that requires the right keys of knowledge of how and what to look for to unlock them. Then there also needs to be the effort applied towards putting all the pieces together in order to build a true understanding of what the Creator is actually revealing to mankind. Here is a very important foundational key of knowledge for understanding the Creator's written word. The scriptures of the Creator contain physically written texts that can carry both a natural and a spiritual interpretation at the exact same time. More extensively than that, each verse of Scripture can also contain individual nouns that have a dual natural spiritual meaning within a single solitary word. There are myriads of these descriptive nouns that have multi-leveled natural, spiritual, and commercial definitions and meanings. There are so many, in fact, that an entire natural, spiritual, commercial lexicon can be composed from all of the nouns that can have decrypted definitions. Once an understanding of how to decipher a natural noun's true spiritual definition has been reached, more and more of them can easily become discovered and then exposed. And as more of the true spiritual knowledge is searched for and then gained, more of the scriptures themselves can become unlocked. Continually searching for the treasure troves of knowledge that the Creator has hidden within the written text will reveal some of the deep wisdom and true understanding of spiritual things. This is part of spiritual treasure hunting, which is imperative for accurately reading the Word of Creator for a closer relationship in unity. So now I will help to guide and show some proper techniques to read these texts on different levels. All right, example A, Mark 8:24, and he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. In the book of Mark, the scripture reads that a blind man is saying that he sees men as trees walking. From this single verse, it is easy to tell that there is a spiritual definition for the noun tree. Simply put, a new spiritual definition for the natural noun tree is the natural noun man, or vice versa. The spiritual definition of man could also be a tree. Logically, think about what it takes to be a tree. A common or natural definition of a tree could be said something like this. A tree is from a seed that has been planted, and if it's firmly rooted within proper soil of the earth and given proper water, light, and time, it will grow up big and strong towards heaven and then bear plenty of fruit for all. But now there's a new spiritual definition for a tree in the written word, which makes the tree paralleled to a human. So from now on, whenever the word tree or trees is seen throughout the scriptures, it is understood that it can carry this dual natural spiritual meaning of being either trees or people. Let's take another example. Genesis 6:9, and the Creator saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. Here in the book of Genesis, we see the Creator saying that a man's heart is evil and has thoughts and imaginations. Since the brain is the only organ that is found to have any thoughts and imagination, this could only possibly mean that the heart is the new spiritual definition in the Creator's word that means someone's brain. So from here on out, whenever the word heart is seen throughout the written scriptures, it will be known that it has two different types of definitions. There's the natural definition, which is commonly used and referred to in everyday society, and now there's also a spiritual definition that means someone's brain. All right, example C, Luke 8:21. And he answered and said unto them, My mother and my brethren are these, which hear the word of Creator and do it. Here in the Gospel of St. Luke, we find a saying that it does not matter if someone is physically related by blood or not. If they do not hear the word of the Creator and obey it, then they hold no claim to any part of an actual spiritual family. Furthermore, this knowledge also means that now, whenever the scriptures read something like my brethren, my brother, brothers, mothers, sisters, etc., it can refer spiritually to the selected few that are being led by the Spirit and not referring to an actual natural relative, a stranger, a random member in a crowd, or to just anyone that is physically reading the written text from the Bible. Without us, the Bible just sits there. We are the living books that carry the testimony forward in our hearts and mind and can give it life. But the true law is that which is written in our hearts and minds.